Hello there, Jasom, Jensai is my name. Welcome to Star Wars Duels. This episode will be Cad Bane versus the fifth brother. If you have not seen an episode of Star Wars Duels, this is how it is going to work. First, I'll go through their physical abilities. Then I'll look at their force powers. Finally, I'll analyze their tactics. After the analysis, I'll describe a potential duel scenario between the two characters. The battlefield for that duel will be the Rancor Pit and Jabba's Palace. Cad Bane is a Duros bounty hunter. His usual set of weapons includes a pair of blaster pistols, rocket boots, van braces, and of course, a wide-brimmed hat. During the Clone Wars, he was hired by the Separatists to steal a holocron. As he is escaping, he is in control of a Separatist Munificent-class frigate. Anakin leads a boarding party to capture Cad Bane and reacquire the holocron. Cad Bane leads them into a hangar filled with explosives where he has a bunch of droids ready to ambush the Jedi. Cad Bane shows off his incredible skills. At one point, he dodges a blaster bolt deflected by Anakin Skywalker. Then he runs away, luring Ahsoka after him. Even with the Force, Ahsoka was no faster than Bane. Bane underestimates Ahsoka though, and she is able to deflect his blaster bolt back into his van brace. Then he disarms her with a kick. Ahsoka still manages to take Cad Bane down with a throw, but as soon as she looks away to retrieve her lightsaber with the Force, he uses his electric gloves on his van brace to knock her out. After the death of Zero the Hutt, Cad Bane runs into Obi-Wan Kenobi and Quinlan Vos. As I said in my video about Quinlan Vos, I think most of Cad Bane's success in this fight comes down to luck. Despite that, it takes more than just luck to escape two Jedi Masters. Cad Bane shows incredible skill in this duel. He uses bows to tie up the feet of Quinlan Vos while Retreating uses his rocket boots. Cad Bane is then cornered by Quinlan Vos, but his Total 360 droid distracts Vos for a second, allowing him to trip the Jedi and knock him to the side. Total 360 then steals Quinlan's lightsaber, and it ends up with Kenobi. After being disarmed, Bane tries to run, but Kenobi jumps in front of him and kicks him. Bane somehow managed to steal Quinlan's lightsaber as he is being kicked. I actually slowed down the video to watch at like 0.25 speed, and he literally kicks it out of his hand, like does the backflip thing, and then catches it. It's kinda weird. Kenobi quickly disarms him, but for some reason, Kenobi lets him grab his arm in an arm lock. Before Kenobi can do anything, Bane electrocutes him with his electro gloves. Only then does Quinlan finally catch up with him. Quinlan tackles Bane midair and they crash to the ground. Because Quinlan Vos is disarmed, he tries to fight hand to hand, but Bane uses his rocket boots and flamethrower to nearly kill Quinlan. Just as Kenobi arrives, Bane flees into his ship and blasts off. Regardless of how much luck is in this fight, it's clear that Cad Bane is a very quick and skilled fighter. Later in the Clone Wars, Kenobi goes undercover as a bounty hunter named Reiko Hardeen. He investigates Moralo Evao, who happens to be joined by Cad Bane. They break out of prison, but on their way to their next job, and before Bane can properly equip himself with a pair of good blasters and the perfect hat, Anakin and Ahsoka track them down. Unaware of Kenobi's identity, they attack. First, Anakin takes on Cad Bane as Kenobi pilots the ship they fight on. Immediately, Anakin deflects Cad Bane's blaster bolt back into his rocket boot. Cad Bane loses control and nearly finishes him off, but Kenobi manages to buy Bane some time by shaking the ship. Cad Bane then scoots away using his remaining rocket boot. Anakin follows, but Kenobi crashes the ship to save Bane. Anakin attacks who he believes to be Reiko Hardeen. He almost kills Kenobi, but he is stopped by Cad Bane with a grapple line. With just one rocket boot and one blaster, Bane is quickly outmatched by Anakin, but he puts up a good fight. After that, Bane demonstrates his agility in the box, a challenge for bounty hunters designed by Moralo Evao. Most of the challenges are solved by Kenobi, but the second challenge actually requires some agility and skill even after Kenobi points out the pattern. Cad Bane is one of the quickest fighters around. He's very skilled, he's got lots of weapons, and he knows how to use them. The fifth brother is an Inquisitor of unknown species. He's a large gray humanoid. He, along with the seventh sister, fought Canon. Oh, and Zeb was there too. That's who the fifth brother was about. After a brief skirmish, Canon and Zeb ran away. They met up with Ezra and got cornered at a locked door. At the last moment, Ahsoka arrived. The fifth brother gets knocked aside with a force push before he can even attack. When he finally rejoins the fray, he gets one attack off before he is immediately thrown into a pillar and knocked unconscious. However, this is Ahsoka we are talking about. Later, he duels Ezra and Canon on the planet Usulon. He is again joined by the seventh sister. Although he does not do quite as well as the seventh sister, whose probe droids were returned to the tide of battle, he is able to match Canon in the lightsaber duel. He looks like a strong but slow fighter, yet he seems to be neither. Ezra is able to match his strength, and Canon is able to deflect his strikes while laying down. His last battle is on the ancient Sith planet called Malachor. He and the eighth brother fought Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka Tano. The two Inquisitors were able to keep up with the Jedi until Maul joined them. As soon as Maul joined the fight, the Inquisitors were overrun and the fifth brother was killed. Cad Bane's blasters would probably not be effective unless he got really lucky. They are great for putting pressure on Jedi, which I'll get to later, but the fifth brother would be able to defend himself, though there always is the chance that a stray bolt would get through. Bane's other go-to attack is his electrical gloves. However, those really only work on Train Force users if he can surprise his opponent. He also has a flamethrower, which could be effective to defend the 5th brother off, but probably wouldn't finish him. He could also try a grapple line or bolos, but his dual blades and size will make those very ineffective. On the other hand, if the 5th brother gets close, he can use his lightsaber. We've seen Bane deal with lightsabers. He disarmed Ahsoka, but she was not very powerful yet. He disarmed Kenobi, but I attribute that much more to luck. Against someone like the Inquisitor, I think he would have a hard time disarming him. However, Bane's rocket boots could make it difficult for the 5th brother to catch him. The 5th brother is not a slow duelist, but when it comes to agility or running speed, he is below average for Jedi. If Bane can keep out of range long enough, he can finish off the Inquisitor with a blaster bolt, but I think it is more likely that the Inquisitor would get close first. The first time we see the 5th brother is in an abandoned medical ship. He helps the 7th sister capture Ezra Bridger. Well, more like he was there when the 7th sister captured Ezra Bridger. However, after Ezra is captured, the 5th brother goes to capture Sabine Wren, while the 7th sister stays behind to guard and interrogate Ezra. The 5th brother uses the Force to track down Sabine and Zeb through their fear. Sabine laid down a bunch of explosives though, and she tries to blow the 5th brother up as he walks by, but somehow he used the Force to keep them from exploding. He then throws them at Sabine with force and she is knocked unconscious by the explosions, allowing him to capture her with ease. At the end of the episode, Zeb and Chopper manage to rescue Ezra and Sabine. As they are escaping, the 7th sister along with the 5th brother reach out with the Force and capture the Phantom. But when Sabine starts shooting at the 5th brother, he is forced to let go and the Phantom breaks out of the 7th sister's grasp. The 5th brother uses the Force with more skill than most Inquisitors. In every one of his fights, except for his 2 duels with Ahsoka, he uses the Force. However, he does not use the Force if he is distracted. When he and the 7th sister were holding back the Phantom, he completely released his hold when Sabine started shooting at him. In the duel on Usulon, he did not use the Force until Ezra left himself wide open. Unless the opportunity is perfect, he does not use the Force mid-fight. Instead, he either starts with the Force, or uses it to end the fight. Cad Bane obviously does not have the Force, but that doesn't mean he's defenseless and will be tossed around like ragdoll in this fight. When fighting Jedi, Cad Bane's primary use for his blaster is to keep Jedi busy so they don't use the Force. Despite the chance to deflect with blaster bolts, Bane is almost always shooting when he is in battle with Jedi, even when against a Form 5 user like Anakin Skywalker. This strategy would be very effective against the 5th brother. He is powerful, so if he uses the Force, Cad Bane will be in trouble, but as long as Cad Bane can keep him busy, he is safe. When going up against a Jedi, Cad Bane is cautious, but when an opportunity presents itself, he goes all in with no fear. In his duel with Kenobi and Voss, he immediately retreated with his rocket boots while firing his blaster at the Jedi chasing him. When he was cornered by Quinlan, he simply shot as fast as he could until his Total 360 droid distracted Quinlan. As soon as he had an opening, Cad Bane attacked. Kenobi counterattacked before Bane could get away and he lost a blaster. He began shooting again to keep Kenobi distracted, but Kenobi deflected the blaster bolt back into Bane's last blaster. After shooting 2 easily blocked darts, Bane ran away again. After magically ending up with a lightsaber, Bane attacked Kenobi. With no blasters to keep him busy, Bane got close up to attack without hesitation. After dealing with Kenobi, Quinlan got close again, but Bane kept him at bay with his flamethrower. All throughout the fight, Bane was retreating. The few times Bane got close were when he was either out of alternatives or when he had a great opportunity. Bane keeps a level head whether he is running away or risking a lightsaber strike. The 5th brother is slow and careful. In all his fights, he is never caught off guard. He is sometimes outpaced, but never ambushed. Even when Sabine lays a trap with explosives, he somehow sees it coming even though there is no evidence for it, outside of the Force. He is not always calm, but he is always in control. Honestly, there's not much more to say about his strategy other than his pace and his awareness. The 5th brother's slower pace will make it difficult for Bane to finish him off because he won't be caught off guard if Bane closes in. On the other hand, Bane will not need to focus as much on retreat. I think Bane has the tactical advantage because the biggest thing he's going to have to worry about in this fight is retreating. But with the 5th brother's slower strategy, he won't need to worry about it as much as that, and he can focus on taking out the 5th brother instead of just running away. The battlefield for the duel will be the Rancor pit in Jabba's palace. The tight space will make it very difficult for Bane, though the ceiling is fairly high and the walls are steep. On the other hand, Bane's flamethrower will be difficult to dodge if he decides to use it. That's the end of the analysis. Make sure to comment who you think will win. Let's begin the duel. Boba smiled as yet again the trapdoor opened, dropping a victim to the Rancor. This time it was an Inquisitor, a mysterious gray-skinned man wearing dark armor and carrying a red lightsaber, who had identified himself as the 5th brother. The large door opened, but instead of a Rancor, a man in a wide-brimmed hat on his head and a pair of holsters on his hips strode forward with a few steps. His blue hands, half covered by leather gloves, hovered over his blaster grips. The 5th brother turned towards the hunter. The two locked eyes for a second. The 5th brother tilted his head as if trying to understand something. In a flash, the Inquisitor's hand shot out. At the same time, Cad Bane's gun appeared in his hands and let loose a pair of blaster shots. The fifth brother dove to the side, avoiding the blast shots, and ignited a red blade. Simultaneously, Cad Bane flew backwards, twisted into the air, and activated his rocket boots, all the while shooting. Cad Bane shot forward, blasters firing a barrage of lasers at the Inquisitor. He circled around the Inquisitor before rising to the ceiling. The Inquisitor deflected each blaster bolt away with his lightsaber, one way ignited. Blaster bolts ricocheted everywhere, slamming into the sand, the walls, and even into the ceiling. Cad Bane lowered himself to ground level. Suddenly, he shot forward, still shooting bolts of red energy. The onlooker's shouts rose. When he was within 3 meters of his opponent, he switched directions suddenly, launching himself above the fifth brother as the fifth brother lunged forward, slicing across where Bane had been just a second ago. As Bane fell through the air, he threw a bolo. It was slashed to pieces as the Inquisitor activated his second blade and twirled it though. Bane slowed before he hit the wall, but immediately was on the move again. The fifth brother hurled his lightsaber. Cad Bane's long trench coat was nicked by the lightsaber, but he escaped unscathed. The fifth brother rolled to the side as Bane began another stream of blaster fire. The Inquisitor's lightsaber returned to his hand, spinning and deflecting blaster fire like crazy. The Inquisitor held his lightsaber out, deflecting blaster bolts, as Cad Bane flew around worriedly. Boba had known Cad Bane for as long as Boba could remember, and he had never seen the man worried, not really worried. Furthermore, there was nothing to worry about. He had been fine even when the Inquisitor was deflecting them with a single blade. Now there was no chance for the Inquisitor to aim. If anything, there was a chance that the stray bolt would get through. He must be faking, Boba thought. The fifth brother had seemed worried at first, but soon he was holding his lightsaber out confidently, as if it were an impenetrable shield. Just when the Inquisitor seemed about to try something, 3 blaster bolts in a row struck. The fifth brother's hilt exploded. He jumped back in surprise, staring down at his broken lightsaber front. Then he was running. Cad Bane had holstered his pistols and was seeking them out with plumes of fire from his vambrace-mounted flamethrower. Cad Bane dropped to the sand and launched an arc of fire at the fifth brother. The fifth brother turned and dashed toward the wall. He ran up the side of the wall and leapt off of it, over the flames and straight towards Cad Bane. Cad Bane shot a stream of fire directly at the Inquisitor, but the Inquisitor ignored it. He roared in pain as the flames engulfed him, but landed with a punch. Cad Bane ducked underneath his arm and twisted it behind his back, but the fifth brother wrenched his arm forward, slamming Cad Bane to the ground. Bane's hand shot out, grabbing the Inquisitor's booted ankle. As the Inquisitor brought his foot back for a kick, Bane touched his vambrace, and the Inquisitor yelled. His back arched, he collapsed to the sand. Bane got to his feet and coldly shot the fifth brother in the chest with his blaster. With a twirl, he reholstered his blaster and tipped his hat to Jabba the Hutt. The fifth brother's enhanced reflexes and quickened muscles are dangerous, but not enough to keep up with Cad Bane. This fight depends a lot on where it is fought, but even in terrain where he has the disadvantage, Cad Bane can pull off a victory. I think Cad Bane would win 85% of the time. But what do you think? Thank you for listening to my thoughts on this matchup. Now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments, who do you think would win? How often do you think they would win? And why do you believe that? May the Force be with you.